Welcome back, boxing fans. Welcome to week 2 preview show. Obviously, this is not the biggest weekend of boxing, but we do have some boxing to pay attention to. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give my predictions on this weekend's fights and then just, break it down and talk about it. So let's get to the fights specifically. Where is there we go. So, of course, I'm on a fantasy boxing league. So, these are my predictions. So, I think today there was a Pro Box card. I haven't seen it, and I haven't even looked into it, so I don't even know if my predictions are going to be correct or not. But this is the way I predicted the fight card on Pro Box today. Angelo Leo was fighting. He was headlining this card, and I predicted that Angelo Leo would win by unanimous decision. I'm not sure if it's true. Obviously, I'll find out sometime today. Angelo Leo was fighting a good little opponent, Michael Plania, who was 29-3, 16 KOs. One of those tough, rugged, sort of build-up type of opponents. For a guy like Angelo Leo, who was a world champion, even though it was a vacant title, and ended up losing it in his first title defense, he's the kind of guy that obviously is a little above this level. He's a guy that potentially could be a world title contender, potentially, depending on who he comes up against. After his first initial loss to Stephen Fulton, he did not look very good in his preceding fight after that. And obviously he's trying to bounce back, build himself back up to put himself back into contention for another world title fight. And that's who he was put in today against Mike Plania, who is a good, solid opponent, but not the kind of guy you expect to beat him. Not a guy who's got a lot of upside, not a guy that's really going to upset the apple cart. That's why I do think Leo will get the decision. I'm not a big Leo fan. He doesn't have much power. So I didn't think he would be able to get Plania out of there. Plania is obviously a veteran fighter, 32 professional fights on his resume. So I'm sure he understands how to survive. So that was my prediction for that fight. On the undercard of that, you have Romario Duno, the Filipino fighter that was getting a lot of attention back a while ago, when he was potentially an opponent for Ryan Garcia. People were talking about Ryan Garcia literally ducking him. That's the negativity and hate Ryan Garcia got then and still gets today. Obviously, he ended up facing Duno soon afterwards and blew him away, destroyed him. And Duno, since then, has kind of become just an opponent. Not really a contender anymore, just kind of an opponent with a bit of name recognition. Today, he was fighting Antonio Moran, 29-6-1, 20 KOs. Duno 26-3, 20 KOs. They're kind of in a similar position. Both of these guys were those kind of guys who had big opportunities. Moran obviously against Devin Haney, Duno against Ryan Garcia. And when they stepped up to take on the highest level of opponents, they both were beaten, both destroyed really. And since then, they've become kind of stepping stones in up-and-coming boxers' careers, using these guys who have some name recognition to move forward in their career, help build up their resume with names that people are familiar with. So when people look at their resume and see guys like Duno and Antonio Moran, they know that, this guy's been in with some quality opponents. And that's what they are, quality opponents. Obviously, this fight between Duno and Moran is a very good fight, right? Two guys at a very similar level, at a sort of similar point of their careers, right? Win this fight, move forward, potentially getting bigger and better fights in your next fight. Bigger money fight, bigger opportunities. Lose this, and then you really just become a gatekeeper, right? And that's all. So it'll be interesting to see how that played out. Then you have Chris Pearson, 17-3-1, 12 knockouts, stepping up to face Trevor McCumbee, 27-0, 21 KOs. A guy that obviously has good numbers, but when you look at the level of opposition he's been facing, it's the kind of guys you would expect him to beat. His resume is a lot of hot air, right? Smoke and hot air. There's not a lot of substance to it. Him fighting Chris Pearson is a quality opponent, but it's not a big name opponent. It's not a kind of guy that should beat him. If Trevor is really that kind of fighter, that kind of prospect, then this is the kind of guy he should beat to move forward. But as far as a Pro Box card, this is a really good Pro Box card. And you can watch this free on YouTube. So check it out, or you can go to the Pro Box app. Either way, it's on YouTube, it's on the app, so it's easy to watch. And this is a pretty good card. After we make this video today, I'm going to go check that out, because those are 3 very good fights. And Pro Box deserves a lot of praise. They don't get a lot of attention on the YouTube sort of boxing community hit list, because really, for you to watch Pro Box, you are a boxing fan, not a fanboy, not a narrative-driven YouTube channel who just pushes narratives to try to get AdSense money. You know, that's not what you are, because those people, they don't watch these fights. The Egos, the Dantes, the LDBCs, the John Boxings, they don't watch this. They don't listen to these guys. They don't have respect for the people involved with Pro Box. They just don't give it their time of day. So that should tell you it's well worth watching, just because of that. Then we get to tomorrow's fight day. I'm not so familiar with Ashton Sylvie, 10-0, 9 KOs. Obviously, for a young fighter with only 10 professional fights, 9 of them KOs, him stepping up to face Estevan Falco, 13-2-7 on DAZN. It's a good opponent. The Falco brothers, obviously from Brazil, some experience. You would expect Sylvie to win this fight, but I predicted Falco to win, to pull the upset. I just feel that Sylvie maybe is biting off more than he can, more than he can chew at this point of his career. I may be wrong, but as I said, I'm not so familiar with this fighter, so I'm just taking a chance on it. But let me know in the comment section below if you know this kid. Is he worth paying attention to? Does he have much opportunity to grow? He is at lightweight, and we know lightweight is a great division, and obviously there's a lot of potential opportunities for him in this division if he really is a real thing. Then we have Orestes Velasquez, 8-0, 7 KOs, a similar kind of fighter. He's facing Julian Smith, 7-2, 4 KOs for junior welterweight. I felt a little more confident on this fight. Julian Smith obviously has 9 fights, only 1 fight more than Velasquez, already has 2 losses, doesn't seem to have very much power. So I predicted Velasquez by stoppage in this fight. And another guy I'm not familiar with. But luckily this is on DAZN, so I can easily go and check this card out as well and just become a little more familiar with these up-and-coming young fighters. And then also on this card, we have Quashawn Toller, 17-1, 12 KOs. I don't know who Quashawn is. He's fighting Vlad Panin, 17-1 with 10 KOs. On paper, based on their resumes, you would think this is a pretty competitive fight. 2 guys with 17-1 records, both with a little bit of pop. I don't know if their power is like, really that extra type of power, but they're both guys that have some pop, so you can't just take them for granted. Because I'm not familiar with either one of these 2 fighters, I picked Vlad Panin to win by split decision, right? Sounded like it potentially could be that kind of competitive fight. So then Saturday, obviously we have the bigger fight cards coming on from the UK. Some cards there. I don't know if you guys are from the UK. If you are, you're going to be far familiar with these fighters than I am. Jacob Bank, 11-0, 6 KOs, is fighting Ronnie Landetta, 21-5, 12 KOs for a 12-round European super middleweight title. So it's nice, a nice little European title. Obviously for Jacob Banks, I assume he is a UK fighter. This is kind of that first step. You win like a regional title in the UK. You can try to win the British Commonwealth title and then the European title, and then obviously from there you go on to try to become a world champion. I picked Banks to win by unanimous decision, just because he's fighting a guy far more experienced with him. Obviously, Ledetta's had 26 professional fights, whereas Banks has only had 11 fights. This is going to be his 12th. And even though he may be the better fighter, the higher regarded prospect, I figured the other guy has enough in his tank, especially being in a European world title fight, for him to be a survivor. Then we have Dan Aziz. This is a very good fight. Probably a fight that really isn't getting as much attention as it should. Really. On YouTube, I don't know if I've seen anyone even talk about this fight at all. But we know that in America, the light heavyweight division is basically ignored and not discussed at all, because there's no PBC fighter, there's no black American fighter, so there's no reason for a lot of these YouTube channels to even look at this division, unless they're somehow trying to talk shit and hate towards it, asking people why they're not asking for undisputed. Well, people have been asking for undisputed all back to fucking Adonis Stevenson and Kovalev. So people have been asking for undisputed at light heavyweight for a long time. And now it looks like we're going to get it. Thank you, Saudi Arabia. Obviously, these two fighters had an opportunity to fight Dmitry Bivol for his WBA title, and both choose to go in a different direction. Obviously, that may be because of their new promoter, who doesn't necessarily want to work with Eddie Hearn. So Dan Aziz, who is 20-0, 13 KOs, is fighting Joshua Buatsi, 17-0, 13 KOs. Buatsi's been around for a long time. He's been a guy that's been on the precipice of getting a world title fight for a long time. But every time it seems as if the opportunity is there, it seems as if he's walked away from it, whether he's just not confident or what the situation may be. You looked at a guy like Anthony Yard, who is a similar kind of fighter with a similar type of resume. I mean, not resume, but similar type of experience. When he's had opportunities, he's jumped at them. And it's cost him because he got knocked out twice, right? Once by Kovalev and again by Beterbiev. But in both opportunities, he jumped at the chance to fight for a world title. So you can only say hats off to Anthony Yard, right? He's the kind of fighter boxing fans should support and should like. Whether he's taking losses or not, you know he's going to step up and give a great performance, whether he wins or loses. So hats off to Anthony Yard for doing what he should have been doing. For Buatsi, he just hasn't. He hasn't been that active. He doesn't seem like he's really that interested. And this is a guy coming out of the Olympics with Anthony Joshua, who many people felt was going to be the best fighter from that team, from that GB team. People had huge expectations for Buatsi. And a fight people really wanted to see, which was kind of like Brooke Khan, was potentially Yardy versus Buatsi. But at this point, it looks like it's a fight that may never come to fruition, right? Which would be disappointing. So Aziz versus Buatsi, obviously it's a good fight. Two guys, both UK fighters. The winner of this is going to be mandated by the WBA for a world title fight. And that just may be for an undisputed unification fight. So the stakes are high, right? The winner of this is definitely, smoothing his path to comfortability moving forward in his life. I'm predicting Dan Aziz to win. I'm picking him to win by TKO. I just feel that Buatsi has dried up on the leaf, right? He sat there growing on the vine for too long, hasn't taken the kind of opposition he should have, and that's going to come to a detriment for him, because now he's going to face a hungry kid who wants to prove himself, and because he stopped his progression, he's going to get fucking exposed now. So it's my prediction that Dan Aziz is going to win, is going to beat Joshua Buatsi, and Aziz is then going to put himself into world title contention to fight the winner of Bivol and Beterbiev. So congratulations to him if that is the way things unfold. On the undercard of that, you have another European fight for the junior welterweight title. Adam Azim, 10-0, 7 KOs, is fighting Unic Poulsen, 14-0 with 5 KOs. I'm also predicting Adam Azim to win this by stoppage, by TKO, to become the European welterweight, junior welterweight champion. He hasn't had a lot of fights, but he definitely shows a lot of potential. And as far as fighting a European level opponent, I think he has more than enough ability to step up and impress in that kind of performance. As far as being ready for the top guys at 154, I'm not sure at this point. But this is only his 11th fight. So, expectations are not that big for him at this point. Obviously, they're not going to jump in against world title fighters in his 12th fight. So, Then you have Caroline Dubois, Daniel Dubois' sister, 8-0, 5 KOs, a GB Olympian, obviously a very good fighter. She's fighting Miranda Reyes, 17-1-1, 3 KOs. I'm predicting Dubois by unanimous decision. Underneath of that, we have Tobias Reyes. I don't know if it's Miranda Reyes' brother. That would be interesting, right? He is 13-0 with 1 draw, 12 KOs, fighting Eduardo Agito, 13-1-7. This is going to be for the WBC Latino flyweight title. I'm predicting that Tobias Reyes wins by stoppage in that fight. And then we get to the biggest card on DAZN of this weekend. Conor Benn coming back after tons of controversy. Obviously, on my channel, you didn't hear any of that. I didn't talk about it. I didn't care. It was really irrelevant as far as I was concerned. The whole egg, PED testing, fucking conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. I didn't care. I was more interested in seeing a Eubank Benn fight. And in truth, I wasn't that excited about that because I felt that Eubank was just cherry-picking a smaller fighter to try to use his name recognition to make some cash, right? Which was kind of like, there's no better fighters at 154 pounds for you to fight, or 160. You need to literally pull a dude up from 147. And for Benn, he's at a point in his career, 147, where he should be trying to fight the other top young fighters in the division to prove that he is the real deal, potentially putting himself in a position for maybe a Boots Ennis super fight down the road, right? So I was more interested in seeing him fight that level of opponent. So fighting Eubank was never a fight I was very excited about. They were using their dad's name to try to make a big money fight, but yet neither of them have really earned that kind of opportunity. Whereas their dads put in the work, built their names, so their sons are just kind of exploiting it. So I wasn't the biggest proponent of that. And of course, I didn't talk about the whole PED thing fucking at all because I don't care. It's irrelevant to me. I am predicting that Conor Benn is going to stop Peter Dobson. I know Dobson's undefeated, 16-0, 9 KOs, but I've never been very high on Dobson. I think he's just not at that level, and he may give Benn a few tough rounds early on, but eventually I think Benn is going to end up breaking him down and stopping him in around the 6th to 8th round. Then, of course, we have Austin Williams, Ammo Williams, 15-0, 10 KOs. Obviously, a guy who signed with DAZN a long time ago, hasn't been super busy, hasn't been moved very fast, but has shown some potential, right? He's had some very good performances, but he's also had some pretty mediocre performances during that time as well, which I think has stopped him from getting a lot of buzz. And as far as the really pro-black American channels on YouTube, because maybe he's on DAZN and with Eddie Hearn Matchroom, he hasn't really got much attention from them at all, right? So he's kind of been on the outside, skirting around, showing a little bit of potential, but never really doing what he had to do to get a lot of name recognition. And he's not doing anything in this fight to really change that. He's fighting Connor Coyle, 20-0, 9 KOs, for the IBF North American middleweight title. Yes, it's an IBF title, which means he's going to be ranked high by the IBF, potentially try to put himself into position to fight for that vacant IBF title. We know that the Russian mandatory fighter is potentially going to be fighting for that vacant title. I can't remember who potentially his opponent may be. I'm not sure what the IBF rankings are off the top of my head, but that's obviously the direction they're thinking about going. He definitely seems like a beatable fighter. So obviously, Amo Williams is moving in that direction, and then you'd figure you have Tim Tszyu, Amo Williams, maybe Madrimov for the WBA, and then for the WBC, obviously, Funduro is going to be fighting the Russian kid, Volchuk. So, we're going to have 4 new world champions at 154 pounds. When we think about it, it's pretty exciting, right? One division, the WBC, and of course, the WBO, they're going to be Al Haymon PBC. As far as the IBF, I'm not sure that Russian fighter's affiliation with the PBC. I know he's fought on PBC cards, but I don't know if he's got a real contract or if there's a real obligation with regards to that. So that might be a direction for Matchroom DAZN to end up moving towards. And obviously Madrimov, I think he's also a Matchroom DAZN fighter, if I remember correctly. So you could have unification fights between these two divisions, the possibility of crossover between them. We have to see how things develop. But for Amo Williams, he definitely looks like he's chasing that mandatory IBF title. Then you have a fighter who's getting a lot of attention in the UK, not so much outside of the UK, and that is Johnny Fisher, heavyweight, 10-0, 9 KOs. Obviously, he's only had 10 professional fights, so the level of opposition he's facing is good, but nobody really recognizable, nobody that's going to make people go, wow. He's facing Dimitro Bizas, who is 10-1, 5 KOs. It should be an early stoppage. Khalil Cole, 7-0-1, 5 KOs, is fighting Juan Geraldo Osuna, 20-0 with 18 KOs. You would think Osuna, 20-0 with 18 KOs, just off of his name, I would say the Mexican fighter, would probably beat Khalil Cole. Yet Khalil Cole is obviously the Matchroom DAZN fighter, right? And obviously the guy they're pushing ahead. But knowing the way Matchroom deals with Mexican fighters, you could expect the Mexican fighter to probably knock Khalil Cole out, right? Probably. Yet I'm so stupid, even knowing that Matchroom always loses to fucking unknown Mexican fighters, I am predicting Cole to win that fight. But as I say, I will not be surprised if Cole gets knocked out. I have him winning by unanimous decision. But nonetheless, it's a pretty fruitful weekend. We have fights Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Obviously, there's a lot of boxing all day from DAZN, from the UK early on. And then obviously, where's the other card? I can't even remember. Sorry if that card is from the UK or where. Where's the Conor Benn Peter Dobson card? I think that's in the States, right? So I think obviously you're going to have that fight card later on in the day. And then you also have the other early card from the UK as well by, not DAZN, but by, what is it? Sky TV. So, leave your comments below. Tell me what you think of this weekend's cards. Which of these cards are you mostly excited about? Did you watch the Pro Box card? If not, go check it out. It's free. It's on YouTube. I'm going to go watch it right now and see what I missed when I was at work earlier today. But yeah, leave in the comment section below your predictions. What do you think Conor Benn is going to do now? And what do you expect him to do moving forward? Who would you like him to fight if he gets through Peter Dobson successfully? And as far as Buatsi and Adam Azim, who do you have winning that fight? The battle between the two unheralded, untested, overly hyped UK light heavyweights. Leave in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be doing a live post-fight maybe we'll actually do a live fight thing for the Conor Benn fight on Sunday. So check that out. Obviously, it's on DAZN, so I can. And because I have to build my channel back up now, thank you very much, John Boxing. This is the kind of hard you are. So, you know, you should feel proud. You know, karma is going to bite your ass for being a fucking lowlife, but that's fine. People always knew what you were. You just proved it even more so. But peace out, everyone. Enjoy your weekend and jump in to my live on Sunday. Cheers.